Well, we're here on the very eastern edge of Seaford to talk to Councillor Rob Blackman. Rob Blackman, Councillor for Seaford East Ward, was elected to Lewes District Council in May last year. Rob, tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi Peter. I've lived in Seaford since 1984. I'm almost 50. I'm married, I've got 2 children. One's just finished her degree in illustration and the other one's working with a local insurance company. And we love it here. This is a fantastic town. It's got lots of opportunities for people. I myself have had 5 businesses in the town, and it's a great place to work, it's a great place to live, and I recommend it to everybody.
Thank you. And you've had us meet at this road junction, say on the very edge of Seaford. Why here in particular?
Well, this is my ward, and this is the edge of my ward, as you said. And the field behind me is under threat of development at the moment, which would be a shame because this is actually the gateway to the Seven Sisters Country Park. And at the top of this concrete road that you can see here is a barn, and that barn is the focal point for the views that are in virtually every single geography textbook in the country. Views over towards the Cuckmere Haven and the Seven Sisters. And therefore, as the gateway, it needs to be preserved. It's not a case of NIMBYism. It's not a case of not wanting development. But this area has particular conservation issues surrounding it, and it is an area of outstanding natural beauty, and it needs to remain as such.
In terms of development within and around Seaford, though, you must have some views as to what would be good and what would be bad. What sort of development would you like to see in Seaford?
I have no problem with development in Seaford, and Seaford's been developed quite a lot in the last few years. It wasn't that long ago that places like the Valley Dip didn't have any houses in it at all, and now it is one large area of housing. So it's not a question of not wanting there to be any development. It's just this particular area is so important to the local people. Whilst people from outside Seaford may not know it, there are 25,000 people in Seaford, and I can guarantee that virtually all of them have been up to the top of this hill and have at least walked down to the Cuckmere or to the Golden Galleon or over to Seaford Head at one time in their lives.
Right. In terms of your role as a councillor, how much time do you have to spend on council duties, and how much time do you have to spend earning a living?
Well, I'm quite fortunate. The town's been good to me. I've had 5 businesses in the town, as I said, and I've managed to sell some of them. So I'm fortunate in that I can spend a fair bit of time now on council duties, and that's just as well because at the tail end of last year I was elected to the cabinet, and whilst being on the cabinet, they've put me in charge of business for the Lewes District area. And we've created something called the Lewes District Business Board, which includes representatives from all of the towns, the East Sussex County Council, as well as representatives from the 2 LEPs that Lewes District Council now belong to, the Federation of Small Businesses, etc. And this is going to not just be a talking shop. It's been called a board for a particular reason. It means that when we make decisions, they're adhered to and change happens.
That sounds a very interesting experiment. Has anything like it ever been done before? And what are your particular objectives for it?
Lewes District, under the previous administration, Lewes District did experiment with a forum, but it wasn't particularly well supported by local businesses. And I believe the reason for that was people saw it as a forum, as a place to go and talk, but not really having any teeth, and not knowing whether or not anything would actually be done if they asked for anything to be done. I guarantee right now that if people come forward with some sensible suggestions which are costed out, we will actually enact them and change will happen.
In terms of change in Seaford, what area would you like to see developed? What changes to life in and around Seaford do you think would be beneficial to the community?
As I mentioned before, developing the business board was part of that, really. I've done some work with some of the local councillors on this, and one of the visions that we've actually experimented with is to make Seaford the premier destination for outside sport and leisure. And that means if we have that as a vision, we can attract world-class competitions to the area. We can redevelop the seafront to support that vision. And again, that will help with the cohesiveness and give the town a real identity.
We've obviously got the Olympics coming up this summer. Is anything that Seaford's doing tying in with that, or are your visions more for the future?
Well, we have a future Olympian sailor that lives in the town. He's probably a bit too young for 2012, but by 2016 I'm pretty sure that he will be in the Olympic team. The vision for outside sport and leisure obviously encapsulates sailing and windsurfing and other aspects like that. And if we help to build the infrastructure to support those activities, then I'm sure we'll have a lot more budding Olympians in the future.
When you got elected last May, you must have had some ambitions or ideas that you would really like to see implemented. Have you managed to achieve any of those so far, or are they still work in progress?
Well, I cajoled and hassled to get the business gig at Lewes District Council, and as I said earlier, they've given it to me. And the business board is just the start of that. We now have a business charter as well. We have business champions within the Lewes District Council that can take up complaints and issues that business people have if they feel that they've been dealt with unfairly by the council. We're also going to have a district-wide business awards ceremony, looking at young entrepreneurships and looking at best quality in businesses, that sort of thing. So about 6 or 7 different awards. So that's going to be going ahead as well. So quite an array of different changes with regards to the business agenda. But the other agenda that interests me and also a lot of the residents of Seaford is the regeneration of Newhaven. It's our neighbour. And when it gets developed, we would like to make sure that it benefits the local people rather than a few corporate individuals in this supermarket or that supermarket. So a lot of the changes that we're making there are to make sure that it incorporates small business units for local business people rather than just the national chains. That we meet the needs of heavy industry as well by having larger units for things like the Rampion wind farm, and we have a science park, so we can try and encourage the 2 universities that we've got in the area to come more into the area and develop centres of excellence in Newhaven, probably around renewable energies.
Thank you. You mentioned the wind farm there. Are you a supporter of that development?
Very much so. In this country, we need a mixed economy of different energy resources, and wind power, given that it's a natural resource and we've got plenty of it, especially around this area, is something that we ought to be concentrating on. And whilst a lot of people have got horror stories around wind turbines catching fire, etc., when you consider that we have more than any other country, I believe, in the world, one wind turbine catching fire isn't really a lot. And the payback period, I believe, for a wind turbine out at sea where it's a lot windier is about 3 or 4 years, which is phenomenal. And most people that were in business would bite your hand off for an investment that paid you back in 3 or 4 years.
Councillor Blackman, thank you very much indeed.